Hey, if only it was that easy to change your spouse, right?
Right.
It's not working anymore. I'm trying.
Right. The
Yeah.
truth is, you can't change your spouse.
Nope. We've tried. I've tried. She's tried.
We tried.
We're
And
still
failed.
ourselves.
But even though you can't change your spouse, what we've learned is that you can change how you react to your spouse.
Definitely.
Right. Some people would call it setting limits or boundaries, and even some people will consider that rude, but what you're really doing is you're protecting yourself and you are bettering the relationship. So you have to remember that you're trying to get each other to heaven as husband and wife. So you want to do what you can to not enable bad behavior from your spouse. And I'm sure you want the same in return too. So you have to set boundaries in your marriage. And there's an awesome book called Boundaries in Marriage by, what's the author?
I don't read. I don't know.
Henry Cloud and John Townsend.
Henry Cloud and John Townsend.
Yes, it's an awesome book. I wish I had read it a long time ago, but better late than never. So I highly recommend that. So, boundaries in marriage. What does that look like? We will give some examples.
Okay, first boundary. Draw a line down the center of you, and that's how you create it.
No.
No? Okay.
That's not what I mean. I mean, setting boundaries is basically changing how you react to your spouse, like we said before. So instead of getting really mad at Logan for not getting home, this is hypothetical, of course. Instead of getting mad at Logan for not being home on time when I have dinner ready, instead I will just eat, have the kids eat, and then put the leftovers in the fridge, and whenever he finally decides to show up late, then he can fix his own food. Because if I keep trying to wait for him, then he'll know it doesn't matter what time he gets home from work. He will have hot food ready and waiting for him. Or as opposed to if I eat, pick it up, and when he gets home, he might not like having to reheat his own food. So it will encourage him or motivate him to get home on time.
Pretend you have a spouse that likes to overspend.
Or maybe you don't have to pretend. Maybe you really do have
Maybe you, yeah.
an overspend.
I would overspend if I could, but luckily, here's the situation on how to get through it. If they're constantly blowing through money throughout the whole month, and then at the end of the month you realize you don't have enough money to pay bills, just sit down and set boundaries and say, listen, this is what we've agreed upon about how much we can spend a month, and by doing so, it allows them to see that they get to a point where they blow past that money, like they're more aware of the situation, right?
So if you set a budget for your spouse for spending money and they still spend more, you can still do other things like cancel their credit card and give them a certain amount of cash. So
Laying the hard rules of this marriage down.
Right. And it's hard setting boundaries. You have to be consistent, and it's important to remember to be kind and gentle.
If you hear that at home, that's the dog. Come see.
Our cute little beagle dog.
Okay, forget her. We set boundaries with her every day. Oh. The other boundary just walking into the room is the kid.
So I know personally our marriage didn't improve until I stopped trying to change him, and instead I focused on how to improve myself. Because even if you think there's a million things wrong with your spouse, and maybe there is,
There's a million things wrong with me?
I didn't say that. I said maybe if you, I did not say that. So like I said, our marriage didn't improve until I stopped trying to change him, and instead I focused on how to better myself.
Occasionally I like to see her dress up nicely, and I sometimes try to push that, I know that. But a way that I can change, instead of bugging her about it, is if I start dressing a little bit nicer, it might influence her to dress nicer.
Right, because I don't want to wear a t-shirt if he's, looking cute. It's too easy. All right, and then one more example I want to give is yelling. So if you have a spouse that yells a lot,
Jen! Jen!
right, if he yells, I get really aggravated and I yell back. But instead, if he yells, what happens is he yells over something silly. Okay, so when Logan yells at something stupid, instead of yelling back like I've always done, I can calmly say, I'm gonna walk out of the room, and when you're ready to talk and not yell, let me know. I mean, eventually he's gonna stop yelling. I mean, he'll still fall back into it, I'm sure, because I know him. But I'm still setting that boundary, and I'm changing how I react to him, hoping that eventually he will change how he acts.
Yes.
An important thing to prepare yourself for is the fact that your spouse might resist at first, because no one likes rules. Well, I actually do, but I'm weird.
She's a nerd. She likes rules. I like to break the rules.
Right. Most people like to break the rules. So if you're setting boundaries or limits, then your spouse might resist at first. So that's why it's important to stay consistent and calm. And hopefully, eventually, they will turn around and your marriage will be better off for it.
And remember, you can't change your spouse, but you can change yourself.